Welcome back. You're watching Commodity Champions, and our focus in this segment is the integration and growth of commodity markets. There have been a lot of statements from the outgoing SEBI chief, that is UK Sinha, and Ajay Tyagi, the new SEBI chief, has a long list of pending reforms in the commodity space. It has been 1 year since SEBI took over as the regulator of commodity markets, but the sector is still waiting. New participation, more volumes, and a long list is there. So what's the future of commodity markets in India? We have with us Stephen Amoil, Senior Policy Officer, European Commission. Stephen, hi, it's good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. What is your sense? How do you see the Indian commodity markets as they are in India, and what is the way ahead for them as per you?
So I think Indian markets are in a pretty exciting stage right now because there's a lot of interest in them. The market is obviously very interested, and I think there's also a big public interest in what will happen to these markets. So I think now is the time where people need to sit down, and I think that's why we're here today, to figure out what's the best way forward. There's a number of challenges that every market has, and India certainly has a number of challenges, and I think it's a good opportunity to work through those challenges at this stage in order to develop some or maybe all of the commodity markets.
Stephen, the most important when you talk about India is how would you see a balance being created among the stakeholders? I mean, we see higher reaction when the prices go higher, the consumers make a lot of noise, but when the prices move lower, it's not too much of a consequence.
I think that's a very good point. There's always going to be winners and losers in any debate when prices go up, prices go down. So the key here is to have the different voices heard, the consumers on the one hand, the financial market participants, and also the other stakeholders such as the producers, the collectors. The one way of doing it, and I don't think there's a best way, every market will develop its own way, is to have regular meetings between all those groups, either at government level, but also lower down the chain, at local level, and also within the markets. It's important that markets speak to their customers, speak also to the producers, so everyone understands what the different issues are. But as you say, when prices are higher, people seem, and the public is much more worried about prices going up than when prices are low. So that's something that you need to have a framework to ensure that voices are heard, both when prices are high and low.
And it's not just about the stakeholders, Stephen. There are a lot of ministries and then regulator involved when it comes to commodities, and the views differ sometimes there as well. Does that lead in delays? I mean, do you think that's the reason India has been waiting for reforms?
That's true. Some of it might actually be welcome in a way, because those different consultations, you're getting different viewpoints across. So it's quite useful sometimes to have the regulators, the governments, and the different actors speak together, making sure that they get the policy right and not just acting boldly to then reverse their decision further down the line. So I think there's a balance to be reached there between acting decisively and also ensuring wide consultation.
Well, that point is well taken. But Stephen, what is the kind of growth that you think that the Indian markets can see, are slated to see now for the next 5 to 10 years? Because it has been 13 years of wait and the markets are still waiting major reforms.
I'm not going to give you any forecasts. I don't think that's wise. What I can do, I can just say you need to give a clear legal framework. You need to give a clear direction of where the market wants to go in order to grow it a bit more. And I would also warn you that the markets don't just develop overnight. It does take time, and it is going to be trial and error, and a lot of the trial and error will lead to better results. Now, if there's a clear policy direction that's taken by successive governments and it is seen to be in the national interest, and there's also wide agreement across different groups in society that this is the way they want to take it forward, then yes, there's no reason India couldn't develop. India has all the necessary production capabilities to develop.
Well, yes, a lot of trial and error, clear direction, clear framework is something that the commodity markets are awaiting. Stephen, thank you so much for being with us. Well, that was a global voice on reforms needed to develop India's commodity market. Let's also get an Indian view, and joining us now is Gopal Nayak, who's Professor of Economics and Social Sciences at IIM Bangalore. Dr. Nayak, hi, good to have you. There was a budget and there was put out by the FM that there is a need for a committee to integrate spot and future commodity markets. How soon? What will be done? What is your sense?
Well, I think, the need for a committee is definitely there, because one of the major issues that we have in our futures trading derivatives market is the lack of integration between spot and futures market. So it's essential that we need to have a sound integration between spot and futures market, and therefore I think committee should really look into what are the key aspects both in the futures as well as in the spot market, which can actually help in integrating these two markets very well. So the committee has to go into details of these markets, particularly with respect to spot market, I would say, because spot markets are in major disarray in our country right now, and probably that's where one has to focus a lot more.
Well, Mr. Naik, that is known, that is pretty known, because that is something we have been discussing for a longest time now. But what needs to be done on priority? What do you think that should be pushed the first in this?
Well, it's not going to be very easy, because spot market reforms and really bringing them up to a level where you see them in international markets is a very challenging task. We already have APMCs and many states are involved in it, so there is an alignment of policy between the state and the center that has to happen. And the state should be convinced that there is a need for a significant reform in the spot market, and they should be able to take actions on those lines. Unless that happens, it's not going to be very easy at all. So we may be thinking about 3 years, 5 years, even 10 years down the line in terms of really bringing the spot market into a shape where one can use the spot and futures integration very well.
When it comes about coordinating between various regulators and ministry as well for this, and then of course there is this aspect of physical market also, how do you see that coordination going forward? Do you think there's a need for a representative of various ministries? That is a group that needs to be formed?
Yeah, the committee should certainly look at it. But one could always start with those commodities where there are not too many ministries are actually involved. And are we doing well with respect to those commodities? So, on one hand, we should really try to look at the relevance of various ministries that are involved in commodity regulation or commodity market regulation. On the other hand, we could also look at, with the futures market coming in, or if there is a robust futures market, how some of these can be reduced. For example, if there is a good market, maybe we can reduce the regulation with respect to stock holding, because markets like derivatives markets like futures should be able to smoothen the flow of commodities intertemporally.
Well, yes, Mr. Naik, as you rightly said, maybe not all ministries need to be a part of policy making when it comes to derivatives, but what needs to be done on the SEBI side of it? Do you think improvement in existing regulatory framework, what exactly do you think is required there?
Well, one aspect of this would be to understand the commodity sector very well, because SEBI is very good in regulating financial markets. But the diversity that exists in the agricultural markets, most of the agricultural commodity markets is enormous. So, and also that if you look at agriculture markets, most of the products are essential in nature. So it's not like you can just leave the market forces or the prices to fluctuate widely in the marketplace. So you need to have a much better understanding. You need to have much better control on the market so that you can actually help in modulating or moderating the markets very well. So that's why you need to understand the whole commodity market mechanism.
Well, yes. But Dr. Naik, also, on one side there is more education, more awareness expected, but the impact of certain trading strategies such as options, index-based trading, algo trading, etc. How would you, integrate this with the spot markets, which are not even properly regulated?
As we go forward, certainly an option market would be very good. Index market also will be, index futures will also be very good for different kinds of users in the marketplace. But again, we don't want it to be traded purely on the sort of a technical, analysis basis. We want it to be very much rooted. Agriculture market should be very much rooted in the fundamentals because we would like it to truly reflect the supply and demand position so that it is actually a good signal to both producers and consumers in terms of adjusting their production and consumption. So we cannot really take chances with respect to large variations in prices, and that's why we don't want, even at the cost of sacrificing certain volumes, we would like to keep it in a way that there is a good integration between the futures and spot market, and therefore the futures actually reflect the fundamentals of supply and demand.
All right, Mr. Gopal Naik, we'll let you go at that. So that's the view really coming in from the Indian and the global participants there, that the right direction, the right reforms, it's a long road ahead and various things need to be done. The two markets integrated, to be integrated is something that, of course, the regulator perhaps need to start with at this point in time. But with that, it's a wrap up on this edition of Commodity Champions. Thank you for watching.